in this, Henry just gets one scene, and it's such a fantastic portrayal. It really just captures everything about him. You know, the ego, the temper, the charisma, the gravitas, the sportsmanship, all of it. All of it just gets packed into this one scene where he arrives at Chelsea because I just happened to be sailing this way. You know, but really he's come to speak to more about, because, sorry, that's another thing to say, Wolsey has passed on.
Yeah.
Right. And so now Thomas More is the Chancellor, right?
They just sort of montage through that, don't
Yes.
they? Yeah.
And so now the great matter is his to deal with.
Thomas More's to
Yeah,
deal
Thomas
with, right.
More's
it
to deal
falls
with.
to him.
Yes. And there's a point, isn't there, as well, where Norfolk says something along the lines of, or is it Cromwell? One of them says, the king has gone to ask Thomas More for his answer. Says, well, he's already given the answer. It says, well, he wants a different answer.
Yeah.
He wants the other answer.
Yeah.
He's not going to stop
Yeah.
until he gets it. So it says in this, isn't it? It's like, I'll have no opposition. No opposition in this matter.
No, it's a brilliant scene. I think the best scene in the play and in the film. Again, the film, it's Robert Shaw.
Yeah.
And again, he is the best Henry for me. Henry's been portrayed so many times on screen, but it's that portrayal of him, perhaps because I had Man Full Season on VHS growing up and watched it a lot, that it sort of burnt into my psyche as that's the perfect portrayal of Henry. But I think it is. And yeah, it's a wonderful scene. And I think I'm right. Even real scholars, even full-blown PhD scholars of the Tudor era, I think they would probably agree that Bolt has got Henry's number there. Obviously, it's distilled down.
Yeah.
It's distilled down into maybe an slightly exaggerated version of Henry, but all the character traits seem to be in there in one go. That he's bigger than life. We've all met people that are sort of a bigger than life character.
Sure.
And he's absolutely that. Dominates with ease every interaction that he's in, but also is scary. That there is an undercurrent just below the surface of, because it's all jovial, it's all quite jovial, but just below the surface is sort of a dead-eyed, like you're doing as you're told, sort of a character, a bit terrifying. And Henry, I think one of the things that typifies Henry, much more later in life than younger, but it would have already been there during the Anne Boleyn era of his life, is that thing of keeping people on their toes, of that you can't. It was almost impossible to sort of second guess Henry, where he's about to go, where he's about to lead the conversation. Henry is very, very capricious. You just don't know where you stand with him, and that's how he likes it.
Yes. Yeah.
And he'll change his mind on a dime, and you just immediately have to follow it. There's a great bit in that scene when he said, which they don't show in the film, but they do show in the TV version, where he's walking through the gardens, Moore's gardens, and he asks Moore a question, and Moore goes to answer, and he says, "Shh." And then he does it again to him. He asks him a question, and Moore goes to answer, and he says, shushes him. And then he asks him another question, and Moore just remains silent, and Henry's like, well? So again, it's just playing with people. The whole world is Henry's plaything. Yeah. And he's like a child psychopath with it.
He is.
Right? And and it's great. So the great matter comes up. And it becomes clear immediately that Moore just will not go along with what Henry wants. And Henry says, look, everyone else is going to go along with it. All the bishops, all the MPs, all the lords, everyone is going along with it except you. Why won't you? And you would expect, and he's like occasionally raising his voice and saying, oh, you think I'm a faithless lord and all that terrifying thing. Because Henry can and will order you to go to the tower at the drop of a hat.
Easily.
So Moore's already in a terrifying situation, but he will not bend to Henry. And in the end, Henry flits between this thing of being capricious. He flits between being jovial and friendly. And he's saying, I know I love you,
Yeah.
and I would never do anything to
We're
harm you.
friends.
And then next thing, shouting in his face, saying, how dare you go against me? It's almost like a real split personality thing, like almost like a psychopath type psychology going on with Henry, which I think is an exaggeration, but probably not by all that much.
He's good copping him and bad copping him, and he's one guy.
Yeah, and flipping on a dime.
Yeah.
1 minute it's just talking about isn't it such a lovely evening, and isn't music so lovely?
Oh, look at the flowers.
But you will do as you're told.
Yeah.
Like suddenly like that. A bit terrifying. It would be terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because you always feel like, as you said, it's just under the surface. It's always there. And so there's never really a second that you're in his presence where you're not treading on eggshells.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You can never truly relax around him. It's... I particularly love in the introduction where Moore is introducing Henry to his daughter Margaret. And he's like, oh, I've heard you were a scholar. How's your Latin there? He starts speaking Latin. And she speaks a little bit back to him. He's like, oh, very impressive, and this, that, and the other. But what about your Greek? And then she starts speaking as well, and you can tell he's miffed that she is better than him.
Yeah,
he knows she's better, and he's furious about it.
Yeah.
But
that's a great bit. I think that is why this play is so well written. Is exactly that bit is a perfect example of it, because there's a tiny bit of a competition between who's the better scholar, between King Henry and just Thomas More's daughter. Yeah, and she shows that her Greek or Latin is better than his, and he immediately goes from being the jovial playing a little game to suddenly the deadpan. Oh, and it's like, be quiet now, shut up and go away. You've ever so slightly irked me,
right?
And you would have had no idea that would irk me.
No, she's never met him.
Yeah. And yet suddenly it's the deadpan, like the terrifying sort of Nero thing.
Of it as well when Henry turns around and she rises and Moore just like puts her back down again. No, wait. Yeah.
So in their great interaction, Henry, in the end, like Moore won't bend to him. And in the end, Henry says, look, I'll let you get away with not taking the oath, but what you've got to do is just remain quiet. No writing. I don't want to hear a peep out of you, either verbally or in writing, about your real thoughts and feelings on this. I'll let you get away with that. Obviously, we all know that wasn't good enough, but that's what he says to him at this stage.
Sure.
And one of the other, I think, really revealing bits in that interaction is at one point Henry bellows, "I have no wife," and you can sort of tell that for Moore, he hasn't probably realised that Henry's that far along in the process within his own mind, within Henry's own mind, that already he's divorced or annulled. He was never married to Catherine of Aragon. That again, it's the capricious nature of Henry VIII, that he's decided something in his mind, and the whole world has to come along with it. Otherwise, there's a problem, and that's just how he operates.
I think as well with Henry's character, you have this thing where he wants this thing to happen, and so okay, well, we'll find this part from Leviticus, and that'll justify it. And then obviously Moore's going to bring up Deuteronomy. And he says, oh, it's a bit ambiguous, Deuteronomy. We can't really trust it. And this, that, and the other. But it's the point that I feel like Henry might have just started out telling himself a pleasant fiction in order to gain what he wanted. And then eventually what happens is he just tells himself it over and over again to the point that he actually believes it. It was just always the case that this is how it was. Because he wants this thing to happen, and he describes it, doesn't it? It's like this is a curse from God that I'm not being given a son, right? Because of my sin of sleeping with my brother Arthur, his former wife. Like we are, that sin is the reason why England cannot have safety. cannot have security. And so I am a holy man trying to live without sin. And in order to do that, I need to push through with this divorce, even though she was never my queen. But we need to push through with this divorce. The two things are just true, apparently, simultaneously. And also, obviously, to marry Anne.
There's an interesting bit, I think, in there was a made-for-TV series just called The Tudors with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as
I love
Henry and
Yeah.
Natalie Dormer as Anne Boleyn, isn't it? And there's a bit in that where Catherine of Aragon says to Henry, she says it over and over again, "I've done nothing wrong. Like, I can't believe you're punishing me in this way. I've done nothing wrong." And she keeps saying it. And at one point, he just explodes and he says, "I know you've done nothing wrong. That's not the point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you've done nothing wrong."
Yeah.
And that's the thing where you said he's just convinced himself. He keeps convincing himself that this is right, or this is true, or Leviticus, or whatever. None of it matters. What matters is he needs a son. That's the bottom line. He'll cut off people's heads. He'll end 1,000 years of glorious tradition with Rome. Anything to get this son.
And more is now standing firmly in the way of this. Because the other thing as well to mention is, of course, the fact that, well, why is More the Chancellor then?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, well, More makes it very clear he didn't want to be Chancellor.
Yeah.
But Wolsey apparently put him forward as an option. And Henry, because that's the thing as well, that certainly in Henry's younger years, he was firm friends with More. And he does trust his character. There is that aspect of More's character that Henry does really admire, because he's not like the others, that he spends all of his time in court around day in, day out, who surround him and are just yes men and just constantly want to be showered with gifts. There is a purity to Sir Thomas More that Henry really, really admires.
He knows he's a man of conviction. Although, historically speaking, talking about the real Henry VIII and Thomas More, a lot of scholars, historians, have always thought it was an odd decision for Henry to pick More after Wolsey. Right? That is odd, because everyone knew already that More was dead set against the Boleyns, and just the concept of getting a dispensation from Rome at all. Everyone knew that already. Henry would have known that already. So why did he pick him? And it's just a bit odd. And the only thing that seems to answer that is Henry made a decision that it's precisely because of that I'm going to pick him. That I can dominate everyone. There's the one man I can't really dominate. So I'm going to pick you, and I'm going to dominate you because you're the one that I can't, so far, force to my will. That is the reason. I mean, it's quite, if that is the case, and it does sort of seem like that is probably the most probable thing that happened. Yeah. And if that was what happened, if that was what was going on in Henry's mind, again, it speaks of, probably ego isn't quite the right word, but it speaks of Henry absolutely needing full control and authority over everyone and everything at all times. The psychology of that,
yes,
is that he knew Thomas More is a man of conviction that might well draw a line in the sand and go to his death before being forced across it, and yet he picks him.
Well, More says, then why does your grace need my poor support? Because you are honest, and what's more to the purpose, you're known to be honest. There are those like Norfolk who follow me because I wear the crown, and there are those like Master Cromwell who follow me because they are jackals with sharp teeth, and I am their lion. And there is a mass that follows me because it follows anything that moves. And there is you. Such good writing.
I think Bolt's got it perfectly right. He must have had a very good understanding of Henry and Henry's court. Because that's just not a literary device to make for a cool scene.
No.
That is historic. It seems to be historically
Yeah, it
accurate.
works.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to and then it's great because, as he says, he goes straight back to, "No, Thomas, I respect your sincerity. Respect. Oh man, it's waters in the desert. How did you like our music?" And then he goes straight back to the music. Right. So you've just showered him with, and then it goes to, "No opposition, I say. No opposition. Your conscience is your own affair, but you are my chancellor. There, you have my word. I'll leave you out of it. But I don't take it kindly, Thomas, and I'll have no opposition. I see how it will be. The bishops will oppose me, the full-fed, hypocritical princes of the church. Ha! As for the Pope, am I to burn in hell because the Bishop of Rome with the Emperor's knife to his throat mouths me Deuteronomy? Hypocrites. They're all hypocrites. Mind they do not take you in, Thomas. Lie low if you will, but I'll brook no opposition. No words, no signs, no letters, no pamphlets. Mind that, Thomas. No writings against me."